There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Community Forum is sponsored by the Easton Grange 196 and a friend of Yardley Wood Rink and the Easton Lions Club.
Welcome to Community Forum. I'm Priscilla, Almquist-Olsen, your host, and today is March
18th?
19th,
19th?
2026. Do you believe that? Well, I certainly do. And today I am very pleased to welcome to Community Forum Claire Abate and her husband, Jim. I always want to call him another night. Okay, Jim and Claire Abate. And they have an unusual and interesting and wonderful avocation that helps seniors. So seniors, listen up, okay, and see what they have to offer. So welcome, Claire.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And Jim, welcome. And Claire, you just coincidentally are a realtor with Keller Williams in South Easton on Route 138, right?
Yes.
But this has nothing to do with that.
No.
But did it grow out of your business as a realtor by any
Yes.
chance?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So how I started in what I do is I started meeting up with seniors through work and realizing like they needed a little bit more TLC, and they needed somebody who could better understand what the aging process was like when it comes to having to leave their home or move out of their home. And I realized that they just need more time. They need more somebody to listen to what they loved most about their home.
Okay, and so people were having difficulty letting go when their needs required them to. I think that's what it was. Now, I met you at one of these sessions, and it's sponsored by Harbor.
It's called Harbor of Wisdom.
Harbor of Wisdom.
Your
right.
South Shore Senior Connections, and I've kind of changed the name a couple times, but that's what we stayed on because I realized that the more I spoke with seniors, the more they really need to know somebody who can provide such and such a service or a need that they needed filled. And I found very quickly that we were connecting them with other professionals, and what was important to me was that I could connect them with people that we can trust.
Okay, so Jim, tell me, we were talking a little earlier about your wife's passion. Tell me a little bit about that.
So Claire's mom lived to be 97 years old. She stayed at home the whole time, and Claire and her sister Kathy took care of her. I think that's part of what where Claire's passion comes from. Also, Claire's told me about a couple of other instances in the past where she was assisting seniors through real estate and found that they had been taken advantage of from a couple of different contractors. And I think that's kind of where the roots of her passion come from, to try to give seniors the help and the information that they need to help guide them through the process that they might have, whether they're going to be aging in place or whether they're going to move on to another facility or a downsizing, whatever the case may be. Claire's given them honest and clear information.
Wonderful. So it was your mother, and she. How old was she? Is she still with us?
No. My mom passed at 97. She passed in 2020. However, she lived at home through the whole time. And what we realized, well, she lived at home, but she lived at my sister's home. And what we came to realize when she was 80, 85, she started to have slight memory loss. And she chose on her own time to stop driving, but she drove herself, well, basically to the grocery store, to her church, to the places she needed to go and nowhere else. And it was nice that she chose when it was time to stop driving. She thought, you know, she read something in the paper that somebody had had an accident, and she's like, maybe it's time. You know, she always thought about other people. So what we found with her being home was that day by day, month by month, her needs became a little bit more, and we had to kind of look for help to come into the home to take care of her eventually. We were able to find home help aides, you know, Tuesday and Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Possibly my brother could help. I helped on one day. We all had our set days for her, but with each change in her health, we knew we had to bring more people in, and almost it was like every day trying to search, well, what are we going to do about this? Or, you know, at first her caregiver could take her to her doctor's appointment. I would always meet them there because I wanted to know what was going on, but then her caregiver all of a sudden didn't feel safe driving her. So now how are we going to transport? And so when you are raising a family and you have an adult parent in the same home, it just gets very complicated. It's like a puzzle, it's a balancing act, and we found very quickly that we needed outside help, and we really didn't have knowledge on where to turn to, who to turn to, and where to get the help from. So fast forward, after she passed, I was always working in real estate, and I realized now I'm working with people who are downsizing. They need, for example, if they are exhibiting dementia, or if someone tells me their spouse was just diagnosed with Alzheimer's, now I'm learning about those diseases so that I can better service them, because you don't know what they're going through without that education. And there's not always a nurse there, or so it just, I guess it is a passion. I want to be able to service better my clients, and I want to be able to hold their hands a little bit.
And we met at one of those downsizing sessions because I think I told you I'm practicing Swedish death cleaning.
Yes.
And
yes.
some of you have read the book, The
Yes.
Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. I have, and I hope I live long enough in order to complete the process. I'm not sure I will, because my mother didn't expect to die. She was almost 89, didn't expect to die. She never threw anything out, nothing. And there were lots of things that I donated to the Historical Society. I go to the Lion Thrift Store on 138 every Saturday between 10 and 2, and I always bring donations. If I don't have donations, I don't go. But I do go every Saturday. And so I'm hoping that I can finally downsize. So I was interested in your talk. So I went, and you had a panel of people, and they had different stories about why they needed your help. You want to talk about a few of those people?
Sure. So I've done that particular topic 3 times now, and I'm in my 3rd year of doing these talks once a month at Holy Cross Church here in Easton. This is the 3rd time I've done this topic, and so I wanted to mix it up a little bit because I noticed that the attendees, a lot of the people keep coming back, and of course I didn't want them to hear the same thing this year. So I got the idea to bring in past clients who have in fact gone on the journey to downsize. And when you downsize, it's not always necessarily moving into a smaller home. Sometimes it's right sizing. You might be coming out of a 1,800 square foot home or a 1,200 square foot home and going into a 1,200 square foot home. However, by right sizing, what we want to have is your living level all on the same level. So that includes your bedroom, obviously your kitchen, a full bathroom, and definitely your washer and dryer. Some people think that the washer and dryer is okay to have in the basement. That's a no-no. Like, we want to have as few stairs as possible. We want to prevent falls. So that's what this talk was on. The folks that came in, we definitely had people downsizing. I can't remember now, but 3,500. One came from a 6,000 square foot home.
Oh my God.
That was on that panel. And you sold her the home. What did she go into? 1,800?
1,800 top, and she still had 2 floors. But the main living level that she's at is about 1,200.
So she really, really downsized. And,
Right.
a very, you have to make decisions. It's more than the Swedish, but it includes the Swedish art of death cleaning, right? Yeah. And she did very, very good. And the number one reason that people move is to be closer to family. And that was Bert's case, was that he wanted to be out with his son, his grandchildren. They're going off to college and now, probably going to have great grandchildren soon. He wanted to be closer to them. So that is the number one reason to move. Yeah.
And now with that gal with the 6,000 square foot house, I mean, she had the job of getting rid of a lot of her furnishings.
Yes, and then what we found was the person who purchased her home really wanted that home, and he said, take what you want and leave the rest. And we're finding lots of times that we have that's not always the case, but quite often if you're not going to be able to take your formal dining room set with the hutch, the buffet, leave that intact, and possibly we can either pass it on to the next buyers who purchase your home, or you can, we have an awful lot of sites now that are available for either people to donate or for people to sell on consignment.
So one of the 2 largest questions that people have when they're going to be either downsizing or moving on is, where do I go, and what do I do with my stuff? Those 2 questions. What do I do with my stuff? It sounds like a simple answer, but it really isn't. A lot of people, especially older people who are attached to a lot of this stuff that have memories, they don't quite know what the resources are out there. And so we have, Claire has, grown this whole network of people who help with downsizing and trying to go into the home and figure out what it is that you need to keep, what it is that you want to keep, and that's all based on where they'll be going, and what it is that how can we help you get rid of by donation or disposal, et cetera, of all the other stuff.
And I assume these people, Claire, are people that you trust.
Oh gosh, yes. I have vetted. Not only do I vet them before I offer them to our clients, but I often, most times, go back. I had a conversation this week with someone who, I want to make sure that each and every time people are happy with the professionals, with the contractors, vendors that I send them to. And if they're not, sometimes there's always 2 sides to every story, but I want to make sure that people are going to continue to be happy. So if there is a little glitch, I go back and I talk to that company and I say, look, this happened. What can we do to prevent it, or how, But yes, I have gone through that's a lot of time consuming to be able to, and an awful lot of my vendors I find through clients who have used them and are so happy with them that I'm happy to pass their name and their company name on to them. Yeah.
So you have people that you can refer your clients to from with all kinds of expertise.
Correct.
So whatever you need,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So
That's where I came up with the names, your South Shore Senior Connections.
South Shore Senior Connections.
Yep.
Write that down, everyone. South Shore Senior Connections. SSSC.
There you go.
South Shore Senior Connections. And the overriding is Harbor
of Wisdom.
Harbor of Wisdom. And what's all that about?
So Harbor of Wisdom came about, I was doing a little with AI, and Harbor of Wisdom is, there's a lot of reasons why I came up with that name, but basically people are looking for education, and that's where the seminars came about, was when you tell 10, 20, 30 people the same things or introducing them to the same educational partners, by bringing them all in one forum and them being able to get it together, to me, they can bounce ideas, questions, and I think it's very healthy for them to realize that everyone has very similar concerns about aging needs and aging. You know, what's going to happen? No one knows.
Right. And I'm sorry. And I think also we chose Harbor of Wisdom because, number one, you know, we are on the coast here in Massachusetts, but also because we wanted to be a guiding light, a beacon for people who have questions, who have needs that they couldn't find answers anywhere else. They didn't know, and by having these free monthly seminars, this helps to bring them in and gives them answers to questions that they have for moving forward.
Yes, and I imagine that they hear the same questions from others that they have themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they get a varied number of answers, right?
Yes.
So that there's not one answer that fits everybody. There are many answers to sometimes the same question.
Correct.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about these monthly seminars. Where they're held at Holy Cross Church in South Easton on Purchase Street. And when is the next one?
They're always held the second Tuesday of each month. So we have that room available to us. We chose that day because if we get larger and need the parish hall, that is also available with the screen. So we work that out. So we've been there the second Tuesday of every month.
Well, when I came, I got the very last seat in the whole room. And there had to be at least 50 people in that room.
Yeah, it was quite a full room.
Yeah.
And I call them kindly my repeat offenders because they all come back. They, you know, the same family, the same couples, the same people.
Do you think they're looking for strength to continue? You know, they're coming back because they're not quite ready and they want to be, and they want some answers for that particular stall in their life.
I think they're coming back for answers. I think they're coming back because they realize that they're getting what we refer to as gold nuggets at every talk. And sometimes, you know, I'm always a little bit the night before like, God, I hope they're happy. And then I come out of every single talk saying, wow, that was powerful. Wow, that was good. You know, did you see, you know, the questions? The questions afterwards, and then you'll always see people will hang out a little bit longer to be able to ask their more personal questions. And I make sure that the panelists know that even though the talk, we start quite promptly at 10, we end at 11:30, and I let panelists know that most of the time people will stay to talk afterwards, which I think you exhibited when you were there, was people stay and talk, especially when we have attorneys or financial people. You know, lots of times there's personal questions that they want answered. And, you know, you can't just pick up the phone and talk one-on-one with an attorney. Yet I spoke on Tuesday this week with the attorney who's coming this June, and you'll be able to talk one-on-one to her. You know, you'll be able to get your questions answered, that's for certain. And she will draw a large crowd, for sure. And she'll be the third attorney I've brought in, because I think everybody needs a different perspective. Another talk that we have, the Alzheimer's Association has come a couple times, and they're just, you know, they have an awful lot to share. I'm learning a ton from these talks.
Yeah, well, as you probably know, I'm a retired lawyer, but what you didn't know was that I did a lot of talks like that, elder law talks, you know, and what most people don't realize that they need certain documents, not when they get older, but when they're young, and especially when they're planning to have children. You know, you need to have a will where you put a guardian in there in case something happens to you. You want a guardian for your children. If for some reason you're in a car accident at 35, right, or younger, and you're not able to make your own decisions about your care, you need a healthcare proxy, and you need a power of attorney. So I always recommended to people powers of attorney that we call them spring forward. In other words, you know, one of the biggest misunderstandings is that people think they need a power of attorney when they need it. No, you can have one ahead of time for when you need it. And we call that a springing forward power, springing ahead. And so you designate that whenever your doctor decides that you need help, that you're not able to take care of your own affairs, then that power of attorney goes into effect. So then you've outlined who you want to have it. Another thing is a lot of, and it's something I got to do too, I have to put my daughter on my joint account, all right?
Yes.
Otherwise, if I become incapacitated, who's going to pay my bills, all right? So there are certain things like that. But you know, most banks require that that person that you want to be on the joint account physically walks into the bank. And my daughter lives in Princeton, New Jersey, so she's not physically walking into the Northeastern Savings Bank or the Bank of Easton anytime soon, right?
But
So
it's on your list of things to do.
it is on my list.
It has to be
Right.
done.
And the amazing thing is, we deal with seniors who all they have is the basic will and nothing else.
Oh dear.
And
They think that's enough.
Right, exactly. They think that's enough. And so, you know, we've had elder law attorneys come in and talk about trust, the difference between a revocable, irrevocable trust, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just so much important information that seniors need that they don't know who to talk to or who to reach out to get that information. So.
Yeah, well, it's great that you're providing that. And that makes your job easier too, as realtors.
Yes.
Because people can come to you knowing that they have peace of mind, that they've taken care of X, Y, and Z, and that's so important.
The truth of the matter, what I've found is that seniors want to stay in control absolutely as long as possible. In order to remain in control, you have to put certain provisions in place.
Right.
So that when the time comes, if you can't speak for yourself, someone you love or someone you know and you trust knows exactly what you want to do for you. And planning, I would say 90% of the panelists I bring in sometime during their talk speaks about how important it is to plan your affairs. And if there's anything, any message we can get across right now is to plan. when your daughter comes into town, have a plan that she gets to that bank. But
Yeah.
really, planning is huge if you want to stay in control. You know, I don't know if we touched on this, but I'm also certified as an aging in place
Oh, great.
person.
Yes.
And the reason why I got my certification for aging in place, when I obviously work with seniors to help them to move, is because there's a lot of times I go to a home and they just do not want to move. They're not going to move. They want to remain in place. Absolutely fine, as long as you can, but let's do it so that you're there and you're healthy.
And
you
safe.
remain healthy and safe in your own home. And there are things that can be done to make your home, adapt your home for that reason.
And we have the referrals of companies that will actually go into your home for free, assess your homes as far as safety is concerned as for a senior, and give you advice on how to make it safer. And if you need to have things installed, like grab bars that aren't going to fall out of the wall, maybe widened doorways for people in wheelchairs, they can also do that. They have the resources to do that. But the fact that so many more seniors want to age in place, which is completely understandable, there are resources out there to help you do that.
Yeah. And those are the kinds of things that many of us should be thinking about for ourselves, as not necessarily for our parents.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
We call that universal design. And the way that works, and she learned, we both learned this from getting our certifications, is that a home can be designed for young people, but also if something happens, whether it's an accident or medical, where if that person is now in a wheelchair, they still have the full run of the house, or for a senior, it counts as a load. Everything is on one level. Bathrooms are wide enough for wheelchairs to get in, spin around. Baths are built, whether it's a shower or a bath, to have easy access to people with disabilities or who are seniors. So universal design is coming more and more into home building, but that's another aspect of it. Aging in place, and is Claire is now going to be the founding chapter president of an organization called the National Aging in Place Council, which did not have a chapter in Massachusetts. Well, it had one that folded because of COVID, but she's starting it up again, and that kickoff is next month.
Yeah, April 16th. So it is a national organization. It's a nonprofit organization, and if I think that I have met a lot of local companies who can help people, this national organization is turning me on to so many companies that really can come into your home and provide products that will help keep you safe.
Okay, we have like 2 minutes left. I have a quick question. I have 2 floors. I want to stay in, I want to age in place. Would you recommend a stair lift for people like me to go to the 2nd floor?
If you can't bring your living area down to one level,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So again, when's the next downsizing meeting?
It is April 14th, 10 o'clock at Holy Cross Church. It is bringing home health care into your home as needed.
Wonderful. That's the topic.
Yes.
Okay. And so keep and where can they get information for future? What's your website?
Right now it's on our Facebook page, which is Harbor of Wisdom, your South Shore Senior Connections.
Okay, Harbor Wisdom, South Shore Senior Connections, Facebook page. Go there and you'll be apprised every month on what the topic is at Holy Cross Church. Okay, thank you, Claire.
Thank
you,
you.
Jim, Abate, and see you at Holy Cross on 2nd Tuesday, 10 a.m. All the best. Until next time, stay well.